I had a viewer ask me if I would make a video about grading books or book conditions, so from acceptable all the way up to new. What I want to talk about is acceptable, good, and very good, because almost all of the books that I send in fall into one of those three categories. I rarely find a book that is like new. And even if a book looks like it could legitimately be like new, I will almost always list it very good, just because I don't want any issues or any bad feedback or returns or anything like that. And I'm not necessarily going to get a bunch more money for it if it's like new versus very good. So I'm comfortable listing it as very good. Now new, I never find a book wrapped up, sealed up, anything like that to list it new. And I'd rather list it like new or very good, so as not to potentially miss out on a sale against a listing where Amazon has the buy box. With that being said, let's dive into some books. So now you guess for yourself what you think this book is. So looking at the cover, front, back, got some of the stickies there. Now, when you open it up here, you can see at the top it's got some writing. And then when you dig into it, lots of margin notes, underlining, highlighting. So all the three that I mentioned in my condition notes. I always mention underlining, highlighting, and writing, meaning margin notes. If it doesn't include those, I always say it does not have any of that in there. It's a clean book. But this has all of it and a lot on top of it. However, as you can see, you can still read the book. Even though there's a lot of highlighting, a lot of underlining, and margin notes, the text is unobscured. If the margin notes were running through the text, or if there was writing in between the lines or over the text, or if the highlighting was really dark, multiple colors, I don't know, somehow obscuring the text, then I wouldn't sell it. This is bordering on that in terms of the level of markings. But I've sold a few with this degree of markings and underlining and highlighting. Now, this is a school book, so that's why I'm doing this. If this wasn't a school book, I probably would not have bought it, because the average person that's not in school that wants a book doesn't necessarily want it this badly marked up. But when it comes to a school-related book or a textbook, it's marked up and it's got notes, it's got lots of highlighting and underlining. A student just wants to buy it for the least amount of money possible. As long as they can access the information, they can read it, they can reference it. They might not even read the whole book. They might only read certain sections, and they might just skim it really quickly and not care about all the other mess in there, as long as they can access the text. So this would be acceptable for me. Did you guess acceptable? Probably, based upon how it looks inside. Now this one looks pretty nice on the outside. So it's got a little bit of creasing here. It's got a little crease at the top, tiny. It's got a crease down here at the bottom. So that would automatically, just based on the cover, make it good. So something I want to say is there's the cover and then there's the pages. Those are two separate categories. Now, if the cover has issues, but the pages are perfect, then I'm still going to grade it based upon the cover. If it's the flip, if the cover's amazing, looks pristine, looks brand new, but there's something wrong with the pages, there's a lot of dog-eared pages, there's highlighting, there's some writing, then it's going to be good, if not acceptable, based upon how bad it is. This already is good. The cover is already good, so I mark this as good. Now, inside, so this is a Korean language book. Learning Korean. Now, here's another one of those cases where this one actually has exercises here, and some of them, all of these here, have been written in or already answered. So in the past, I would have skipped this because I would have said, well, why does someone want that? But it turns out that some students don't even care about that. They can still write it on a separate piece of paper, just trying to pass the class, whatever it may be. So I'm going to send it in and list this as acceptable because it already has a lot of the answers. I might take pictures. If I don't take pictures, I will put that is written in, including exercises / tests, exams, whatever it is, however I'll phrase it. Some of them already been answered in the book. This is a book that goes for decent money, and it's a school book, so a lot of people probably won't care that much. At least that's what I'm banking on. To be honest, not every student is necessarily that into actually learning it. I mean, they might just want to pass the class. And if the answer's in there, they might be happy about that. So those are two examples of acceptable books. Here's a book, The Talent Myth. The cover looks great, and the inside is, aside from this, has $1, doesn't have any markings. So this could be actually very good. Here's this one here, which the cover looks in great shape. There's a sticker over the barcode. This one looks like it's going to come off pretty easy. So I would take it off if it's not going to be too big of a hassle to take it off. Some stickers, though, are a pain in the butt, and it just takes too much time to take off, and I don't mind leaving it on and even possibly grading it as good versus very good because of the sticker. There's some other issue with the cover, but this one has a little bit, you can see there, some minor corner wear. So the cover would probably, I can take this off, so the cover would probably be good for me. I don't really want that little bit of wear either. And on the inside, as you will see, there's some underlining. It's not a ton, but there's enough. So there's underlining. See, look at that. You see how the text has a line through it? So there is, you can see that. See that line? The line actually went through some of the words. I can read it as Indexes to Mass Psychology, treating the films, so I can actually read it. It is obscured but readable. That's a little tricky. That's a fine line. If a lot of the pages or a lot of the lines were struck through like that with the person who was actually trying to underline, but instead they went through the actual words, if that was happening a lot, 10 times, 20 times, then I would probably not even try to sell it. But because I'm only finding, I found 2 where that happened. I could still read the words, but I still don't like that. So I might even list this as acceptable and say that several sentences or several words have a line through them, although the text is still readable. It's a bit of a fine line. So when you're looking through the books and you're seeing that, see if you can spot something like that if it's happening frequently. If it's only happening once or twice, then I think it's still worth it because the bulk of the book is not even underlined at all, not even marked up. I would say probably less than 10% of the pages, probably closer to 5%, actually have any markings or underlining at all. It's something you have to decide for yourself, but I think that a person buying this, probably a book for school, so I would imagine that a student wouldn't mind just 1 or 2 lines that are struck through. So this would probably, I'm probably listed acceptable, even though I could list it as good because it doesn't have that much underlining. I'm just going to play cautious. You know, the shape of the book is good condition. You know, some people will say, oh, I'll just list it as good. Well, I'm just going to be careful. And that's fine. You can list it as good, but you just need to be careful with that stuff and be upfront in your notes and that sort of thing. This one has a little bit of wear. You see the corner here in the back? To me, that's good. It's actually splitting a little bit. There's another corner here that has some wear. So the corners, you gotta look for that stuff, and the spine's fine. And the inside looks just great. So it's gonna list it as good. Again, the inside looks very good, but the cover is good, so I'm gonna go with good. I don't want someone getting that and saying, oh, the cover's not that bad, but it's not very good in my opinion. I don't want someone to get it and say, oh, well, the cover had some corner issues, and that's not a school book as far as I understand or from looking it up. So there's this one. Now, the cover looks pretty good, right? However, a closer look, if you look at the spine, it's fine here. But then down here, see that? You can see that right there. So probably what I'm going to do is put tape over that just to tape it down. And I'll put it in the notes. And that could actually be, the book is good though, because there's no marks inside. The pages look awesome, look very good condition. But because of that, that's pretty bad there at the bottom. Because of that, I'm going to list it acceptable. Probably acceptable. I know. Would you list it as good or acceptable? Now, these are books I'm not sending in, but I wanted to show you what are books that are in good, very, very good condition or very good condition. So this one here is a small paperback by Angelou. And you can see the cover is excellent. The corners don't have any issues. Okay. Corners in great shape. There's no creasing, and the pages are excellent. No markings, no highlighting, no underlining, no creasing. So this is very good condition. Very good. I would list it very good if I was actually sending it in. And then this is an example of a hardcover. I've shown you only soft covers. So the hardcover now, take a look at it. And you can look at the inside of the flap. I always look at the inside of the flaps too, or the inside of the dust jacket. And that's also excellent. Sometimes this part here will be folded back because it got caught, or the corner will be, I mean, sometimes it'll be clipped even, but it'll be folded back, something like that. Or a lot of times the top here will be creased because it comes up a little bit and it gets bent over. This one does not have that at all. So the dust jacket is really great shape. I usually mostly just consider the dust jacket unless the actual hard cover has any damage, like it was dropped, then I would mention that. Pages are immaculate. There's no markings of any kind. There's no creasing. Some people might list this book as like new, and I would understand why, but I would list it very good without a problem because it's in great shape. Just want to show you some examples of books that some I'm sending in and some I'm not, but of different conditions. So clearly, like new is going to be, any of those books would have to be immaculate, but I don't really list like new. I just basically go to very good. And I've listed like new a few times, but rarely for books. Most of the books I sell are in very good condition, and then there's some in good, and there's even less than acceptable. It's really important though to look at the Amazon guidelines for books, for every product, but look at their guidelines, read them through. And then as you're going along, you will learn what falls into what category. So basically, if there's any markings inside the book, I immediately list it as good. If there are a lot of markings, it'll drop to acceptable. There's no markings inside, no highlighting, no underlining, and the cover or the dust jacket are all in great shape. No creasing, no tears, no fraying, no holes, no writing, and that's going to be very good. So those are two things. There's the inside, there's the pages, and then there's the cover. And I take them as a whole though. If one's bad, then it drops the rating or drops the grading or condition as a whole. Because it doesn't make sense to me if the pages are immaculate, but the cover has a bent edge or a bent corner or creases or whatever it is, really bad, bumps as it's called, rubbing, that sort of thing, is pretty substantial, then it doesn't make sense to list it as very good because you have to take all of that into consideration. So hopefully this helps you out if you're still learning this stuff. Ask questions. Some people will disagree with me, but that's how I do it. I also, I follow the Amazon guidelines, but I'm even more conservative. So I would just rather downgrade the book, and they get the book, it's listed as good, but they think it's very good according to them, then that's great. If it's very good and they think, yeah, it's excellent, this could be a new book, and that's even better. If it's acceptable and they say, oh, well, it's kind of bad shape, but it's not, I think it's better than acceptable. But if it's acceptable and they think it's acceptable, then great. No pages that are torn out, no covers that are torn out, torn off, or part of it torn off, a really damaged spine where the pages have come out or it's come apart from, let's say, the hard cover, glues come out, that sort of thing. I'm sure there's some other examples, but anything that's that bad, I just pass. Don't even source it, don't even buy it, don't even bother. You don't want to risk it. And it's a book that you want someone to be able to open without it falling apart or without a page missing, a page torn in half, the corner torn out. That sort of thing is pretty bad. I wouldn't want to get a book like that, and I don't think you want to sell that kind of stuff. So let me know in the comments below, or if you have any questions, whatever it may be. Hopefully this helps out some people. As always, remember, keep booking.